Welcome, everyone, to our February Shotsuki Hoyo monthly memorial and adult Dharma service. We'd like to begin by reading the names of those who've passed away in the month of February. Hiroji Aochi, Shiro Aochi, Arata Akahoshi, Nobuta Akahoshi, Misai Cronin, Fusa Doi, Kiku Fuji, Arata Fujikawa, Masako Fujikawa, Kuni Fujimoto, Yoshiko Fujishima, Junko Jun Fujita, Fudekichi Fukuda, Itaro Harada, Seki Harada, Toshiyuki Jack Harada, Masatoshi Hashimoto, Yoshiko Hashimoto, Akino Hemmi, Satoru Hirai, Fumiko Hiramatsu, Koyoshi Idehara, Hatsu Igaki, Hisashi Ikeda, Charles Ishizu, Harvey Clay Johnson, Suejiro Kanada, George Kanagaki, Naochi Kaneshige, Keijiro Kataoka, Masuko Kataoka, Sakai Kataoka, Wes Kawabata, Todd Kawamura, Shuzo Kawaoka, Rikizo Kido, Sagao Kido, Toshiharu Kimura, Jinpachi Kitagaki, Mieko Kitagaki, Kimi Michelle Clevin, Yutaka Kobori, Jane Koizumi, Thomas Koizumi, Kotaro Komoda, Taka Kono, Tsutae Lachika, Kashichi Matsui, Nobuko Matsui, Saburo Matsui, Shigeru Matsumoto, Toku Matsutani, Lin Mifune, Jisaku Minamoto, Tokio Minamoto, Yukiko Mitsueda, Hatsu Miyamoto, Fujitaro Miyauchi, Shigeko Mizuki, Sam Mizusaki, Sakai Mori, Yukio Mori, Hisa Murakawa, James Murashima, Tran Ngak Mai, Shizue Nakai, Fred Nakamura, Kei Nakamura, Masayoshi Nakamura, Shozo Nakamura, Toki Nakamura, Tei Nakao, Harry Nakaya, Tase Nakayama, Judy Narasaki, Hisa Natsuhara, Jinpachi Nishimura, Shosuke Nobori, Yae Nobori, Hisai Noda, Hatsuko Nomura, James Susumu Nomura, Nadine Ohara, Mitsuo Okashima, Fumiko Okawachi, Kazuichi Oseto, Makoto Otsuka, Jane Strolander Phillips, Nihachiro Sasaki, Faith Sasaki, Toyohiko Sata, Mitsu Shigaya, Yoshiharu Shimada, Taizan Shimizu, Hatsumi Shohara, Keiko Soda, George Soga, Frank Takahashi, Hina Takahashi, Tsuruko Takahashi, Yana Tanaka, Tani Family, Jitsuo Tani, Itsuzo Taniguchi, Mitsugi Taniguchi, Edward Tanita, Tora Toji, Sakitaro Toyofuku, Same Toyofuku, Shizu Tsuboi, Tamotsu Tsuchida, Teruki Tsuchida, Hikotaro Tsuda, A. Tsujimoto, Fumiya Umemoto, Sachiko Umemoto, Mark Umetani, Kenji Urushibata, Ura Urushibata, Kazuhiko Ueno, Hana Wada, Joe Wakayama, Nobuo Watanabe, Harold Wong, Marie Wong, Kajiko Yamasaki, Kimi Yamashita, Kaheiji Yokomizo, Eiichi Yoshida, Kamehisa Yoshida, Kino Yoshida, Hikoichi Yoshioka, Kiichi Yoshioka, Kisaku Yoshioka, Nao Yoshioka, Don Jiro Yoshisato, Kimie Yoshiura, Craig Matthew Young, Chosaburo Yuto. Next, we'd like to have Sutra chanting, and we will chant Shoshinge. Kimyo Munyo Junyo Rai Namo Fukashi Giko Hozo Bosatsu in Niji Zai Seiji Zai Obusho Token Shobutsu Jodoin Kokudo Ninden Shizen Mak
根入無常主将願長発慶大偶勢五行死有死生寿十世名所門実法不法無量無変更無下無体公園の少女歓喜知恵子不断難事無所故超日学校精進説一切群上無故障本願名号少女語死心信用願人超等学小大涅槃必死滅度願成就如来所以公主世唯説弥陀本願会五辱悪事群上会お信如来如実言の発一年気愛心不断本の特涅槃本上逆法再縁入如主心入海一味摂取信仰上昇語意の水波無明暗頓内心臓死運無上不真実心人天非如日光不運無運無資源妙無暗逆心謙虚大狂気即応超絶合悪種一切全幕本部人門心如来偶勢願仏言古代小下者善人名分だりけみだ仏本願念仏邪見教満悪主上信行十字人に南南中死南昔インド祭天使論下中華自治域史こそ現代諸公世小異妙如来本勢要記釈迦如来両合戦一種五妙難天竺龍樹大自主とせ質の財派有無権先絶大乗無情報召喚議事小安楽賢治南行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀仏本願次年即時入筆上唯の上昇如来語大大偶勢四天神菩薩増論説奇妙無下公如来会主他な見真実光線王朝大誓願こういう本願力へこ移動群上昇一心気入独大崩壊筆逆入大へ収集特思念映像世界即小信用法精進有本の人間人図入生寺音寺用下本師論難女天使上皇難消防殺来三蔵主十上教凡上専用気楽法 天神菩薩論中下報道因果見性願おげんねこゆたり少女死因唯新人枠前本部新人ポツ承知承知即涅槃必死無尿光明道小宇宙回復系同社結晶道難所唯名浄土活入万全自力変言種円満特合感染症三不三神慶音言増末放滅道品一生増悪地偶税死安如外称名化全道独名部所意公愛上三女逆悪公明明語権理念海入本願大地界行者少女今後心狂気知念相互用意大と逆三人即小法小子上楽原神公開一大教返帰安女間一切先祖出身反先人法華二度小弁入極重悪人有小物我薬剤非摂取中煩悩証言水不見大無見上昇が本資源空明仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教諸公編集戦弱本願具悪性現内生自輪伝下決知義上一生死即入弱上無意楽必知新人異能入愚教大自主死と上際無変極上悪同族自主愚道心有意過心死高層説ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性祭道本菩大心往生安楽国
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'd like to deliver the Dharma message. First, Happy New Year! Lunar, that is. It's kind of an interesting time right now. We have kind of a bunch of things happening. Lunar New Year was this past Friday. Nirvana Day, which is commemorating the passing of Shakyamuni Buddha, is tomorrow on Monday, although we commemorated it today with our Dharma family service. Monday is also President's Day, and also the Day of Remembrance of the interment of Japanese Americans is coming up this Friday. So, what better time than to have Shotsuki also? Right? And so amongst all these different things, like New Year's and Nirvana Day, to also have this special memorial service, our Shotsuki service. But you know what? There's actually always stuff going on, right? There's always lots of stuff going on. And so maybe it's not too different than usual, but, you know, we can kind of mark this special time, especially of the Lunar New Year, if you're into that. And it's kind of another opportunity to have a second New Year's, right? And to be aware of that aspect. Because, you know, Japan actually used to do Lunar New Year as well. I think it's Meiji period, right? Late 19th, early 20th century, that Japan switched to solar calendar. And so a lot of our remembrances, like Nirvana Day for us, is also solar calendar. So we do it on February 15th. We acknowledge Nirvana Day, February 15th. But if it's lunar, then it's going to be floating around at different times of the year. So I'd like to talk a little bit. I'd like to share a passage from the Dhammapada, which is a early Buddhist text, collection of verses on various topics. And there's a passage in there from chapter 3 of the kind of standard Pali version about the mind. And it's talking, well, here's basically it's a passage that says that our thoughts are like fish drawn from the ocean and thrown on dry ground, flopping around. Right? So that our thoughts are like these fish that are plucked from their home, and you know, you put them on the boat or on the beach or whatever, and they're flopping around. That's what our thoughts are like. Right? So this is one way that Buddhism kind of looks at our mind and acknowledges this about the way our minds normally work. Right? And that our thoughts are like this, just jumping around, flopping around aimlessly. Right? Now, it's kind of in the context of meditation. And so a meditator will try and control their thoughts. So elsewhere in this section, it gives a metaphor of an arrow maker and taking these pieces of wood that are bent and wouldn't normally fly straight, but, you know, treating the shaft to make an arrow that will fly straight and true. And similarly with our mind, right? That normally our mind doesn't hit the target, but if I can train my mind, it's like that arrow maker, making my mind so that I can focus. It also says things like taming the mind or restraining the mind, right? And that this is one kind of Buddhism, right? A Buddhism where one engages in meditation practice in order to be able to do this. But our school, Jodo Shinshu, isn't a meditation school. And yet, it still, I think, tries to see how our mind works, right? And I think that Shinran did that. I think Shinran saw deeply into his mind. And even in Shinshu, we can acknowledge or have this understanding, realization that, yeah, my mind is flying all over the place, right? That my thoughts are fluttering about. For me personally, there's times when I'm sitting on top of the world. I feel like, wow, I'm 50 years old and I think I've kind of got it. I feel good, right? I feel like I've got a good take on things and things are pretty good under control. And then the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot to call this person, and I didn't do this and I didn't do that, and what am I doing, and can I even do this, and should I quit and do something else, or within a day, right? And so for me, certainly this is very much so. Even like having the TV on and thinking, I'll try to watch the weather in the morning. So I'll sit in the morning and put on KTVU, Channel 2. I think his name's Steve Paulson, right? And so you know when there's the traffic report and the weather report. And so, I put it on and, okay, here's the weather. But I've also got my laptop in my lap. And, okay, while I'm watching the TV, I'm going to do this other stuff. And wait, I missed the weather report. What happened? Now, fortunately, I can back it up. Right? That's the nice thing about digital TV and the way our TVs work. But within an instant, my mind has shifted elsewhere, right? And I'm focusing on this other thing. And so I back it up and I watch, and I've definitely done it where I've had to do that 2 or 3 times because I'm so easily distracted, right? I'm not able to tell myself, here's the weather, watch it, and not even able to do that. Right? And so interesting to see my mind like that, to remind myself, no, try to focus on what you're doing, right? So easy to get distracted, so many things going on. And I think that our cell phone existence doesn't help, right? Our internet existence doesn't help. The internet's almost designed to encourage you to go off and follow these different tracks. Right? And sometimes it's designed to try and pull you into different directions, right? These algorithms that select what you're going to see next, or select the commercials that you're going to see, right? So in a way, the internet, certain parties on the internet want you to focus, but they want you to focus on where they direct your attention to. So do you even realize where your attention has been directed to? Do you even realize all these messages that are coming to you and all these different, events or concepts or information or propaganda, right? It's coming at us all the time. So in one sense, I think it is good to try and be aware of how my mind works, to try and be aware of how my thoughts may be being manipulated, or try and be aware of how my thoughts just flutter about. Another metaphor that's not in this specific text, but is like a monkey flying, jumping around through the trees. And so I've used that term, not recently so much, but in the past, of the monkey mind, right? And to see that about myself. Taming it would be great, but that's not really how I practice Buddhism. Right? I think of it more, that awareness of, no, this is my mind, this is me, is part of the Jodo Shinshu path. Less so to control it, right? My mind jumps around like this, so I'm going to control my mind. Right? Can I control my mind? Who's controlling my mind? Where are these thoughts coming from? What's the thinker that's thinking the thoughts? Do I need to control the thinker? Do I need to get behind the thinker? Right? The meta thinker, but who's behind that? Where does it stop? Right? And can I do it in the midst of daily life with family and work and everything? But there's an alternative, Jodo Shinshu. Right? And so I think some of the stuff we do maybe in Jodo Shinshu addresses this. Maybe this is one way we can think of Shotsuki. Right? That this gives us an opportunity to turn our thoughts deliberately to our loved ones who've passed. Okay? And we can reflect on our lives. We can reflect on our relationships in the context of this person or these people that we're thinking about today. This person whose name was read at the beginning of the service. Right? So that they become part of this process of helping us direct our thoughts, right? Helping us reflect on ourselves, see ourselves better, see ourselves, find ourselves in the midst of this web of relationships. Right? So it's kind of neat, huh? I like it. Each month, right, this opportunity to have this chance to direct my thoughts, right, rather than my mind just going hither and yon. There's another thing. I think this is also an aspect of Nembutsu, right? The Nembutsu for us is saying Namo Amida Butsu, right? The name of the Buddha. Now this name is being directed to us from Amida Buddha, right? So that it's not only my saying the name, it's also hearing the name. And you've heard me talk about this before, maybe. That's one aspect. But another is to realize that Nembutsu literally means Nen is mindfulness or awareness. Butsu is Buddha. So we could understand Nembutsu also as mindfulness of the Buddha or bringing Buddha to mind. Right? So that if we find ourselves distracted, if we find our thoughts upset, right? If we find ourselves just kind of flopping around, right, in our mind, all our thoughts flopping around up there, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, right? That that can give our mind a focus towards Buddha, right? Towards the Dharma, so that we're not just running around mindlessly, right? With all these thoughts flopping around, but instead maybe able to become a little more centered, right? Able to give our thoughts a direction, in this case, towards the Buddha. So Shotsuki, though, right? It is a special service to bring our departed loved ones to mind, right? To be able to think about them, to be able to remember them, right? But it's in a kind of a nice big context of my life, your life. Right? They're helping us with that. They're helping us see ourselves, see our minds, see our lives, see our relationships. Other kinds of Buddhism, I feel, often aren't about relationships so much. Right? They aren't necessarily about that kind of thing. But Jodo Shinshu is, and it's taken me a long time, but really seeing how our relationships are so important and a part of our lives as Buddhists. Right? Our loved ones whose names were read on the list are Buddhas, part of that process, saying Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, so we can hear it. Saying it so that maybe our minds can be turned towards the Buddha. Right? Saying it so that we can awaken to this rich, complex web of relationships, but also of wisdom and compassion coming to us. So I want to thank you very much for joining us for our February Shotsuki Hoyo, this monthly memorial service and adult Dharma service. Why don't we conclude with the Gata Ondoksan 2. It's on page 220 in the big BCA service book, but I'll put the words on the screen too. Nyorai dai no ondoku wa miyoko ni shite mo hozu beshi shishu chishiki no ondoku mo hone o kudakite mo shasu beshi. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Okay, thank you, everyone. I don't think I really have any special announcements, but just a reminder to look at the website, BuddhistChurchOfOakland.org, and we've put up events. We've actually got a community events page on there now. If you're not a member of the church, but you get these Shotsuki notifications, go to the website and you can sign up for the Friends of BCO mailing list so that you can get our email notifications. We have, services every Sunday now, but at the end of the month, on February 28th, will be the special BCA Eitai Kyo service because it's during our National Council meeting, and you'll be able to watch that please go to the website around the end of the month to be able to get the link to watch that. It'll be streaming, so you can watch our former bishop and former BCO minister, Reverend Kodo Umezu, will be the speaker. There's also going to be other events happening during that last couple weeks of February, so please go to the website to check that out, or look in your Bushin, the newsletter. Okay, thank you very much. Let's conclude our service. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam Amida Butsu. Nam.